The Republicans are panicked, desperate for power, desperate to leave their stain on this election, like they did before, cowardly following a madman to the end. They're no longer a political party. They're a cult. A sick cult trying to take us back to a time not long ago. A time where so many suffered. A time when so many died. But we, the people, won't let that happen. Because we know the risks are too high. Too high to let a wannabe dictator have his way. To let him fulfill his dream of autocracy. We always knew that this election was bigger than any candidate. Because when democracy is on the line, nothing else matters. This November, we have a real chance to put Trump behind us, to end the chaos, and keep America on the right path, a path that President Joe Biden paved. And who better to lead America? Who better to take on the criminal than the prosecutor herself? The choice hasn't changed. The choice is still the same. This November, it's America or Trump.
What a way to start the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome. 2 days left of the election. All hell is breaking loose. The candidates are making their final arguments. MAGA's having a meltdown over Joe Biden's recent comments. But yeah, today's show, we're pretty much going to make the case of why you should not vote for Donald Trump and why Kamala Harris is possibly one of the most qualified candidates for president that we've seen in modern history, if ever. So we have a lot to go over tonight. Yeah, so I would be lying if I didn't say I was wasn't shitting my pants over this whole election, because the polls, they're freaking gaslighting us all the way to the end. Like NBC poll came out today, was like, yeah, it's neck and neck. And I'm like, how is it possibly neck and neck? Like,
it's not.
Dude.
Yeah, but at the same time, that Iowa poll came out yesterday, and it shows that Kamala is like 7 points or 8 points higher than Trump, when in the last two elections Trump was like 8 to 9 points higher than Biden. Look, we've been saying it all along. Polls don't necessarily mean anything, because pollsters' jobs are to craft polls to basically get a certain result, whether they admit it or not. So if not, all polls would say the same thing. So you can't have a poll or any poll saying that it's neck and neck, and then have a poll where Iowa, of all places, is saying that he's getting his ass kicked. So don't listen to the polls. That's what happened in 2016. Everyone had a bad case of apathy. Get out and vote. That's it.
Please, because I guarantee you, I will show you a video of why you need to vote. Okay, this was a video. I found this. This is one of our favorite videos, one of our favorite Trump supporters. Okay, remember when everybody got all hyped up about the border invasion and they went down to Texas in this big old convoy? This is one of the people from that convoy. And
wise words.
I guarantee you, she will vote for Donald Trump. So this
maybe
is
more
not
than
a
once.
reason. Yes. And this okay. Yeah. Let me just play the video. Good luck. And I tried to translate it as best I could. And enjoy.
I said, yes, sir, but you're on flagpole. Sure is a late little bit. And that, sir, why, that's the raggediest old flag you got.
I said, yes, sir, but you're on a flagpole. I don't know.
I gotta tell you, that is my favorite video in the universe.
I posted that on Threads, I think.
But you know what's really funny? When that video came out, Trump was like starting his descent into complete delusion. We have some words he said earlier today or yesterday, I believe, where it kind of sounds just like that. So that woman was actually, encouraging Trump to be his true self and just speak like an absolute moron. So
yeah,
I guess.
All right. So first bit of the show, we're going to go over the Trump half of the stuff that he's been saying recently, stuff that he's done recently.
Oh God, Sheldon.
And then the last half, we're going to go over, Kamala Harris's closing arguments. And Mike had a good idea. I made a special ellipse speech comparison video cutting in Donald Trump's January 6th speech with Kamala Harris's recent speech at the Ellipse there in DC. It was a good idea. Thank you very much for that, Mike. All right, so let's get into some of this stuff. First, Donald Trump is freaking out. These are some of his posts from earlier today. One, he's Fox News keeps putting on Democrat ads as part of their news program. Their sound bites are almost all of Harris and her Democrat friends, all of whom are on the shows. Fox News is not our friend. It's crazy.
What's interesting about that is he says that they're in all their news ads, they're using sound bites from Democrats. So those are two different things. The sound bites being used on the Fox shows are chosen by the producers and the hosts. That's one thing. The ads that they're showing on Fox, see, this is something that is beautifully telling about Donald Trump and his ability to even comprehend how campaigns work. The ads, forget the sound bites, the ads that air between the shows on Fox are paid for by the DNC. And what happens is that's based on a schedule, because you can't just take money indiscriminately and then put on whatever you want. When the ad revenue is taken, they have to agree on when the ad will air. So all the ads that are airing on Fox now were paid for by the DNC and agreed upon, because Donald, you used all the DNC's money not to campaign, but to pay your lawyers. So RNC, you don't have any money to run ads on national networks. You just run ads on Newsmax, which is a waste of money because the people on Newsmax are already going to vote for you. So, Donnie, it's not Fox. It's the DNC. Ask your daughter-in-law why they're not running
RNC. You keep saying DNC, RNC.
Well, no, the DNC did it, but ask the RNC why they're not running ads.
Oh, yeah, because they don't have any more money.
I'm sure I messed it up either way, but you get my point.
Whatever. You get the point.
Money talks, who's spending it, who isn't.
Yeah, exactly. So let's first, I think, give a hat tip. We got to give a hat tip to Joe Biden, because we wouldn't be in this situation with all this energy and all this momentum if it wasn't for the legendary decision of he chose to step down. I still had to think that they at least had this planned out beforehand, because of how fast they were able to transition from one candidate to another, gain complete and total support, and go fundraising and get all these endorsements. And because it's only been 2 months, 3 months? Not even. I mean, I can't even remember. It feels like it's been 10 years, but I know. Yeah. The end. All right. So the end of July.
But to your point, I think that at least someone knew that there had to be a potential to need to prepare. So I think, like you said, I don't know how planned, but I know there was there had to be some preparation. There had to be.
Right. Because Joe Biden knew how old he was when he ran the first time.
And there had to be some confidence. So that means they were reaching out and talking to people, because they couldn't have done it the way they did it if they didn't feel confident enough that at least they'd have the same level of support. I don't think that they knew the support would go through the freaking atmosphere, and we have some numbers to show that. But to your point, there was a plan.
And we also have to thank Joe Biden for his recent comments that were misinterpreted by the Trump campaign, because, oh my God, it has given us some of the best memes and best videos I've ever seen. Joe Biden said that he was referring to the comments being garbage, not the actual physical people being garbage. But
disagreeing with them, but we're allowed to.
Right, because of their lack of critical thinking skills, they went into this for Halloween. And then there's this as well. Yes, they started wearing garbage bags. So all right, so we've got Trump supporters. We got to review for the audience. So far, Trump supporters have worn diapers in support of Donald Trump, fake ear bandages. They have carried around J.D. Vance semen specimen cups.
Yep.
And now they're wearing trash bags.
And that's on top of the gold shoes.
Yeah, we're not even.
I mean, but think about it. They are willing to debase themselves by giving money to a rich guy, and also by accepting the criticisms upon them as if they are righteous criticisms that they're proud of. They're literally walking around in garbage bags. You have Donald Trump's son, dressing up like a trash bag. More importantly, you have Megyn Kelly, Okay, we know Fox isn't exactly the most down the middle group, but you have a major newscaster on a major national network taking on the persona of a MAGA. So there is no fair and balanced when one of your newscasters is dressing up like a MAGA proudly. Just that's another
I
one.
know. And then Hulk Hogan was on Fox News wearing a orange vest. He was the one he is all right. He was the one they decided to bring on to say they're not trash. Hulk Hogan. I'll just leave it at that. You don't really have to say anything else. It's insane. All right, but then the best self-owned of all time was Donald Trump's. I made a video about this the other day, but I wanted to bring Mike in on the joke because, like, all the things over the last 8 years that MAGA has called us, that Trump has called, Trump calls us the enemy from within. Trump calls our country garbage, a dumpster, a trash bin for the world. And then they misunderstand and think Biden says they're garbage, and they're like clutching their pearls, like, oh, they're so mean to us. Like,
this was
oh
after Donald Trump said that, let's just say I'm not going to agree with maybe the intent of what Donald Trump said, but he did let out there as a major political candidate and former president that Liz Cheney might have a different opinion if she was standing up against a wall with guns at her. So when the MAGA movement is, as Jeremy said, clutching their pearls over any comment, spare me.
I know, yes, spare me your fake outrage. Like, and you're just making us, you're just proving our point the whole time. But here's Donald Trump. This is the video of him getting into the garbage truck. So they bought Donald Trump. If you guys aren't familiar with the story, I don't know how you're not at this point. They bought Donald Trump his own personal little toy dump truck or garbage truck. And he didn't even operate the damn thing. Okay. They almost had to lift him in it because he has staff behind him, just like their hands aren't out, but they're literally standing there like, oh my God.
Let's just say he had a treacherous journey into the truck.
Right. But the best part, though, is he tries to walk past the media, and something's going on with his right leg. He drags his right leg everywhere he goes.
Oh, yeah.
So he walks past the media, acts all tough, and then almost falls out of a garbage truck. So here's the video because I just want Mike to have a laugh.
250 million people are not garbage. I can tell you who the real garbage is, but we won't say that.
Where are you getting that number from anyway? Oh, wait, he thinks that's how many people are going to vote for him? Oh, buddy. There you go. I'm surprised they didn't literally put their hand
I shouldn't be laughing, man. I shouldn't be laughing.
Yeah, because you know why? I would expect Joe Biden to have the same difficulty opening a big, heavy door on a giant dump truck at 78 years old.
The crazy part is after that, he went on to his speech, and then he bragged for minutes. He bragged about, like it was a major accomplishment, about getting into the garbage truck. He actually talked to his audience about it. It was insane. So let's get into some other stuff that he's been saying throughout the week, like calling us scum and
but garbage.
The hurricane was it was a water
Donald Trump is going to go after some of the scum that you see back there, that's so dishonest. 4 more years, think of this, 4 more years of gross incompetence, the most corrupt, horrible people. These are horrible people. Oops, we should get along with everybody. They're horrible people. Some people you just can't get along with.
Is that a getter?
It was water. The water was
I don't know.
The worst we'd ever seen. It was a water hurricane. That's what it was. And it took houses right off the foundations and ripped the foundations, concrete foundations, like they were paper.
What the hell is a water hurricane?
So as far as referring to hurricanes, Trump has now said it. One hurricane was the wettest he's ever seen in the terms of water. And then Hurricane Helene was a water hurricane.
Are there sand hurricanes? Are there sand tornadoes and
I don't know. Maybe
blood tsunamis? Like, what is happening?
I don't know, man. It baffles me that he has so much support. And you were saying before the show, what's the guy's name? Nick Fuentes
Oh
finally
yeah.
realized, like, and this dude is like a self-proclaimed Nazi, right?
Oh, he is a Nazi.
Yeah, he's proud of it,
Massive Trump supporter. He
right?
was at
All the things that
Mar-a-Lago having dinner.
all the things that we just went over, right? The semen specimen cups, the diapers. He sees people
Trash
wearing
bags.
trash bags, and he's like, "Whoa, that's just weird. These guys are in a cult." Like, it took
I
you
mean, look,
this
he's
long.
still gonna vote for Donald Trump, but he took time on his own show to be like, "Wow, maybe this is a cult." Like,
Right,
sure,
right. Because I'd like to point out
Whatever.
that Nazis do not support Kamala Harris, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I'd rather vote for the person.
I
who's
mean,
not
when in
supporting
doubt, if you're undecided and you're like, man, what could be the thing that would get me to understand who to vote for? Just
Yeah.
see who the Nazis in your country are voting for, and vote for the other person.
So,
It's really that simple.
it really, it really is. So, all right. So let's go on to the viral clip of the week. I think I added some more stuff because Donald Trump's had microphone issues again. He has more tech issues than me and Mike have on this show, and we're broke. Like,
Well, you know why?
what I mean?
Because he has Elon Musk helping him, and Elon Musk can't get a live Twitter fucking show to work.
Yeah, that, and he doesn't pay his vendors, so I'm pretty sure he doesn't use the same vendor over and over again.
What city was it recently that was like, no, Trump, you can't come here because you haven't paid
Yeah,
us
like
since last time
hundreds
you
of
were here.
thousands of dollars. He still owes them. So he went on to complain and brag about how heavy, because he had to, apparently, I guess, hold the microphone instead of leaving it right there in a little, I don't even know what it's called. The mic stand. Yeah, there we go. I had a brain fart for a second there. So he's bragging about, he's like, he keeps saying this microphone is so heavy. Oh, I'm getting such a workout. Oh, I'm blowing out my arm for you guys. Like, what are you talking about, bro? And then I don't know if he meant this to look like a sex act or if he was trying to imitate, because he was complaining the microphone was too low. So I don't know if he was just, but this is definitely the clip of the week. So I kind of clipped both of them together.
I'm seething.
Definitely
I'm working
appropriate
my
for the
ass
kids
off
in the
with this
audience.
stupid mic. I'm blowing out my left arm. Now I'm going to blow out my right arm, and I'm blowing out my damn throat, too. The only thing I asked for is a good mic. Hello? Hello? I don't think so. Hello? Is that better? Is that better? I was bending over like this. Hello. They're saying he's cognitively impaired and physically impaired. There's something wrong with them all because I have guys that are stupid back there. All right, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, right?
But he only hires the best people, right? Did you ever notice that from the moment he came down that escalator, every single thing that has gone wrong, happened wrong, been said incorrectly, or whatever has always not been him, but the guy who hired the best people seems to surround himself by incompetence. It's fascinating.
Right? It really...
Well, but that said, it might actually be a legitimate tech issue. And if that's the case, I feel that I have come up with a series of solutions for items that Donald Trump can use instead of microphones. And I just think that any one of these would probably do the job as well or better. Yep. Just because Donald Trump seems to have a problem holding on to cylindrical shaped objects. That's it.
Right. I like the mole rat. I remember you put it in a meme one time, and I actually thought it was something else.
Yep.
I was like,
I've been using the mole rat for a long time.
I'm like, wait a second.
Yep. Especially when I shrink it down, you cannot tell what it is or isn't.
Yeah. That's too funny. Yeah, so Donald Trump's closing message. Well, Madison Square Garden was their closing message. It was a celebration of fascism. It was a celebration. It was a homage to the 1939 Nazi rally. That's exactly what it was. We went over this.
Perfectly wrapped a Nazi bow on a big dirty Nazi shit. That is Donald
Stephen
Trump
Miller.
campaign.
even used, I mean, he didn't use, it wasn't a direct quote because he changed the words, but he said America is for Americans, or what, America is for Americans.
America is for Americans only, which
Yeah.
is ironic because while most every other country you can become a citizen, the point of America, and I believe it's on the Statue of Liberty, I believe it's reflected in our laws, is that anyone who comes here and becomes a citizen is an American first. Anything later, anything after that doesn't matter. You can identify as a Mexican American, Italian American, Irish American, African American, anything you want. But when you become a citizen of America, you are an American, and all of those rights are equal for everyone, except in the eyes of Nazis like Stephen Miller. Because I don't know what the hell that means. America is for Americans only. Is that
just so everybody knows,
just going to kick out everyone that isn't?
Right. The Nazi phrase was Germany's for Germans and Germans.
Now,
yeah.
I'm going to ask you, Jeremy, do you want me to read this whole thing? Because before we're done with Trump, I think it's important to know that one of the last 2 days before voting, it's interesting to know what Donald Trump is talking about. Should I read it? I'll read it quick.
It's going to take way too long to read the whole thing. I would read part of it, though, for
All
sure.
right, here we go. When I say insane asylums and then I say Dr. Hannibal Lecter, does anybody know? They go crazy. They say, oh, he brings up these names out of, well, that's genius, right? Dr. Hannibal Lecter. There's somebody worse than him. Silence of the Lambs. Who the hell else would even remember that? I have a great memory, but they always hit me. I don't bring it up too much because they have to take such a, he brought up Hannibal Lecter. What does that have to do with this? What is it? It has everything to do with it, right? He was, so I've done something for you for that I haven't done in 20 speeches. I brought up Dr. Hannibal Lecter, and we're allowing him, you watch these fake people will say again, he brought up Hannibal Lecter. Lecter has absolutely nothing to do. You know what I do? You know I do the weave, right? The weave. You bring up Hannibal Lecter. You mention insane asylum. Hannibal Lecter. You go out. No, there will be a time in life where the weave won't finish properly at the bottom, and then we can talk. But right now, it's pure genius. Hey, I have an uncle. My uncle, Uncle John, my father's brother, 41 years at MIT, longest-serving professor, has so many degrees. He didn't know what to tell. But you know what? I can't. Like, that's legitimately, I'm done. I don't even want to do it anymore. How many times did he say Hannibal Lecter?
The weave. It's genius. You have to be genius to understand the weave. No, you don't. It's just rambling, dude. It's just rambling. So, all right. So on top of Donald Trump is his misstatements or whatever you want to call them throughout this campaign, some things have come to light. Like Mike Johnson recently accidentally on camera saying they're pretty much going to gut the Affordable Care Act and among other things, probably all the welfare programs, all that other stuff too. And then Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, has decided that it's necessary for Americans to go through hardship in order for them to enact their bloody, according to Donald Trump, bloody immigration deportation program. And if you don't believe me, here's Elon Musk saying that we're going to have to go through hardships so they can do whatever the hell they want.
We have to reduce spending to live within our means. Yeah, that necessarily involves some temporary hardship, but it will ensure long-term prosperity.
What? Temporary hardship for long-term prosperity coming from the guy who has never had two guys that have never worked
that have never had financial hardship in their
ever.
Life. They don't even understand that it exists. Don't forget, Elon Musk is not someone that's like, man, a bunch of people might have to survive off really, really low salaries and prices might have to just inflate to high heaven because we got to fix the economy. You don't go shopping, guy. You haven't even ever in your life seen what a grocery bill looks like. Okay. Right. So you're also going to always be on the side of the company. So you're never going to hold them accountable. You're never going to make sure that profit is not the most important thing in an economy over the survivability of its freaking citizens. Yeah. So what does temporary economic hardship mean in your
what blows me away? These guys complain. They keep saying, "Oh, the prices are so high because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's policies." But you're going to have to go through hardship just because we want to deport a bunch of people. Okay, that's not no.
Sure.
No. No, we're not.
Oh,
gonna do
wait
that.
a minute. Is he trying to say that the economic hardship we'll endure is because when you get rid of 20 million farm workers, we won't be able to have groceries anymore? And that they're going to have to what?
Right.
Oh, gee. I wonder. And don't forget, Elon Musk is not an actual inventor. He doesn't understand the limits and reach of technology. He just buys things and becomes the face of it. So when you hear about Tesla robots and all this other bullshit, don't doubt that Elon Musk thinks in his little puny mind that if they get rid of 20 million farm workers, the United States government could just contract him to have Elon Musk Tesla robots work the farms. Don't
Yep.
think that's not somewhere in his little disgusting mind.
So hopefully all those companies go into good hands next time around after Elon Musk is in prison for all things he's done. Well, he does have to go to court regarding his scam $1 million lottery. Apparently, one of the people was already a millionaire, a YouTube millionaire, who they're accusing of being a paid actor that received $1 million. So the other terrifying and last thing I'll leave you with on the Trump campaign before we switch over to Kamala Harris's campaign, RFK Jr., they want to put in charge of HHS, the Health and Human Services, and the CDC, among other things. Let me just play the clip of him admitting it, that Donald Trump has promised all these things. This is terrifying.
The key that I think that President Trump has promised me is control of the public health agencies, which are HHS and its sub-agencies, CDC, FDA, NIH, and a few others, and then also the USDA, which is key to making America healthy, because we've got to get off of seed oils, and we've got to get off of
seed oils. Why?
Oh my God!
What? No, you know
I'm
what?
a medical professional.
What's the science? Show me the science that seed oils, and also what's your seed oils are bad for us. What's the option? Okay.
What?
And also, this is a guy that thinks that the COVID virus was genetically engineered to target certain people because he thinks that that's a thing that can happen.
Yeah.
This is scary. This is a guy that repeatedly engages in picking up roadkill and eating it.
He would basically be in charge of deciding what vaccines get put out, what vaccines get studied. Like, are you kidding? Are you no, God,
if you're in charge of the FDA, he's going to be there going, I mean, just a little bit of salmonella is not a big deal. Just a little bit of botulism isn't that bad. We'll get herd immunity, right?
He wants to take the fluoride out of the water. That's what his big idea is. Medical professionals. So that's
you know what?
Stupid.
You take the fluoride out of the water in a country that doesn't have standard dental care, and suddenly all the dental insurance companies make a lot of money. Gee, that helps.
Yes, and we consume a lot of sugar. So, yeah. All right, let's go on to Kamala Harris. She actually responded to this news of
great segue.
Could be this would be a health. People will die as a result of RFK Jr. being put in this position.
It'll be Donald Trump COVID response all over again.
Right. Possibly millions of people could die as a result of misinformation on vaccines and overall just health and information. Oh my God, this is horrifying.
Pledge to the American people is to pursue common sense solutions, to listen to those, even those who disagree with me, to listen to experts, and to be a president for all Americans. Donald Trump's closing argument is very different. He pits Americans against one another. He spends full time having Americans point their fingers at one another, and he spends a considerable amount of time plotting his revenge on his political opponents. As of last night, just to add more, he has indicated that the person who would be in charge of health care for the American people is someone who has routinely promoted junk science and crazy conspiracy theories, who once expressed support for a national abortion ban, and who is the exact last person in America who should be setting health care policy for America's families and children.
Last person. Mike and I are more qualified and more common sense to do that job than RFK Jr.
I know what I would prescribe to everyone, but we won't bring that up here.
Right. Let's not. I mean, I just don't want the guy with the brain. Maybe I'm being biased. Maybe I'm, I
No,
don't want
you
the
know
guy with
what
the
I
brain
want?
worm. I'm
I'm
sorry. In charge of healthcare.
I'm gonna go real dark before we go into the light. And my last
Yes.
word on RFK Jr. is I don't want the guy in charge of the mental and physical health of our country to be the one whose wife killed herself after reading his journal in which he detailed over 35 plus affairs in great detail and then ranked the women he had affairs with in a number system. I don't want that
I
person in charge of mental and physical
didn't
health in my country.
I didn't know that. That's
Yep.
that's definitely that's worse. That's definitely worse.
All right, Kamala Harris.
All right, Kamala Harris. So I made it a comparison video of the ellipse speeches of Donald Trump's Jan
Good place
6th
to start.
rally and Kamala Harris's recent speech there as well. But unfortunately, there's a car alarm going off in the background of Kamala's speech, but it's still
Yeah, that sucked.
yeah, it's still much better though.
So listen, 1 week from today, you will have the chance to make a decision that directly impacts your life, the life of your family, and the future of this country we love.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen. There's never been anything like this. It's a pure theft in American history. Everybody knows it.
And it will probably be the most important vote you ever cast. And this election is more than just a choice between two parties and two different candidates.
You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division.
But I said, something's wrong here. Something's really wrong. Can't have happened. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
We know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election.
Man, she is good at this. She
think-
went from because people didn't really know much about her. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
I guess that's a good place to pivot to. Because Mike has some information on Kamala Harris's meteoric rise into the position of being the most powerful person in the world. You know what I mean? I mean, she's the second most powerful person in the world now,
right now.
technically. But from being vice president and not being talked about being, a presidential candidate, all of a sudden this, Joe Biden drops out. And I like to remind it, like we were mid-show. We weren't even mid-show. We were playing our opening video when we found out that Biden had dropped out on a live episode. We were like, like the camera came on, the video ended. We're just like, shit. I know. We're like, oh my God. So I remember having that sinking feeling at that moment because we had no idea what was going to happen next. Like, were the Democrats going to fight over each other? And like, I'm going to run. No, I'm going to run. And then nobody could decide on who's going to be the leader. But no, everybody was like, yep, we're in. We're in. We're in.
That is so indicative of everything that makes up Kamala Harris's campaign is the immediate unity. So like you said, I mean, a political party is a political party. Everyone's got aspirations. And to be fair, the DNC could have been like, we're going to try and find a way to see who wants to run. And what the Republicans, MAGA and Donald Trump don't understand is no one chose to run. It wasn't that they didn't have an open primary. No one chose to run against Kamala. So she was instantly the one that was chosen as the candidate. It wasn't that they didn't give people the fair choice. No one chose to run. That's how it works. So she being already elected was the obvious choice because she was elected, because even though people want to pretend that the vice president doesn't matter until we could blame Kamala Harris for everything, whatever, you vote for the vice president. You do.
Right.
Okay. One of the reasons Donald Trump is going to lose this election is because he tied himself to Project 2025 nitwit JD Vance, who doesn't even know how to order a donut correctly. Okay. But in Kamala Harris, what Joe Biden had is someone who was not great at public speaking, was not great at expressing herself, and learned how to do it in a couple of months and was given the opportunity to do it by Joe Biden, who chose to give up the reins of power. Forget about a peaceful transfer of power, which Donald Trump does not believe in and did not participate in. Joe Biden could have run again. He could have stubbornly said, I'm running, and no one could have said anything. But he handed over power, unlimited, unimaginable power. He handed it over to Kamala Harris. And from that moment on, Donald Trump lost his mind. MAGA lost its mind. The Republicans had no idea how to run against her. They devolved into racism and nonsense. And what did you see on the Democratic side? An immediate love for Kamala Harris and an immediate increase in support. This here shows not just an increase in support amongst Democrats, but amongst the entire electorate, all the voters on August 11th. This was a week maybe after President Biden said he wasn't running. And you see, right, that switch right after Biden drops out, not just her rising, Kamala Harris rising, but Donald Trump falling, which means there were people at that moment that went, holy crap, I'll vote for her over Donald Trump. But it's more than that. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
I just want to add, like, I think we're being, we keep saying, I think we're being gaslight by the media because they keep saying it's neck and neck. But Kamala Harris has obviously way more support and energy behind this campaign than Joe Biden ever did.
Oh, yeah.
And Donald Trump has been doing nothing but hemorrhaging support and money the entire time. He has not gained anybody except for maybe some celebrities that need pardons in the future for crypto scams they may or may not be allegedly or not whatever involved in. I won't name any names on this episode, but there's quite a few.
Well, I think it's important to show it's not just, again, amongst Democrats. It's amongst everyone. Now, granted, you're going to get more support increases and shifts amongst blue voters. But if you look here, look at the dramatic increase amongst just Democrats, people who are just liberal, black people, moderates, aged under 30. That's important. We'll get back to it. Women, gee, I wonder why. Suburban, Hispanic, independent, men, white people, and old people. Every demographic in there is something that Donald Trump cannot afford to lose support for. And if you're gaining support for Kamala Harris among Democratic voters and all alone, great. But all those other demographics were not just Democrats. They were people that immediately were like, okay, better choice. Because they were probably like, well, look, it's between two old white men. I don't really like Donald Trump, but I'm a Republican. Boom. They started seeing Kamala Harris go on the campaign trail, speaking like an intelligent adult, seeing what her credentials were, being a prosecutor, being in, Congress, or just working her way up as someone who is in this country in a downtrodden minority. Black women are not treated that great in this country. Their opportunities are often cut short intentionally by, I don't know, all the white men that run everything. So to see Kamala Harris's rise is something that so many groups of people could identify with. And the proof is in the pudding. One of the reasons, and we've talked about this, is the use or non-use of traditional media. Donald Trump was bad-mouthing the traditional media, but only using it until the point where his share of that media was getting smaller and no one really cared anymore. Kamala Harris has been ignoring the traditional media for the first portion of her campaign, focusing on digital media, which is going to get young people, just people who are sick of traditional media, all these different demographics that traditionally are apathetic, don't vote, frustrated, angry, don't know what to do. Now they're getting blasted on their digital platforms with an intelligent woman who is speaking a language they can understand. And you could see what's happening. This is the youth early vote beating projections. So we have in Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and national, the projected youth early vote totals. Okay, great. Youth early vote totals. That's what's actually happening now in these exit polls of people early voting. Look at those numbers. Michigan alone, the number is outpacing the projection by 221 freaking percent.
I
But I
know,
don't
right?
care about the individual states. I care about that national one. Plus 20% than projected. Now let's go to the swing states. Here are the swing states that are going to affect this election: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. Here we have 2024 as of October 29th. We have 50.3 million early votes cast, which is already by far an astounding number above anything we've ever seen. But look at the states and look at the numbers specifically. Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, huge numbers of early votes. And we know early voting is primarily something that is done by blue voters.
Right.
Why? Because Donald Trump spent 8 years telling you not to vote by mail until his election was like,
Right.
oh crap, we need to vote by mail. Look at the numbers, people.
I almost forgot I wanted to bring this up just because just so you guys know, there will be voter fraud, but it will be all from Republican dipshits. I read about this story today, and I can't remember what state it was. It was like a couple minutes before I hopped on here with you. Some guy voted in, I don't know what state again, but he voted 6 times, but then went on Reddit and bragged about it.
Come on.
Like, I don't think these idiots realize that this is a do not stop. What is do not collect your $200, go straight to jail.
Yeah, but like these people don't even know how to crime. They're too dumb to crime.
Right, you're going to jail. That's not a probation crime. Like voter fraud is you're going to jail. So
well, we went over the numbers a couple of shows ago. The number of the voter fraud exists. It always has. It always will. Primarily, it does show up on the right of the aisle. But the argument, again, that the Donald Trump campaign has been pushing primarily from this entire election cycle is that illegal immigrants are going to come in and vote. And we showed those numbers a couple of shows ago. That number is so insignificantly negligent, it almost can't happen. Now, it can happen, very little, but in general, it's not going to happen. It's not going to affect the election in any county. It won't even affect county elections. That's how small the number is. So,
no.
Voter fraud may happen, but it is not going to happen in any volume that affects anything.
I think we're going to see a lot. I think we're going to see a lot this time just because of
yeah, but it's going to be idiot.
Donald Trump actually gave his people advice to vote more than once at one point.
You know what else is voter fraud?
We showed
burning election ballot boxes. And guess who did that? A Republican. So
I'd also like to point out that suggesting to vote more than once is also a crime.
Gee, who did that?
I think Elon Musk's mom did that.
I think
I'm not mistaken. Let me play this next clip of Kamala Harris. This was her talking to Nora O'Donnell. I remember her last name finally. When because the whole Donald Trump trying to deny his involvement in Project 2025 is laughable, but for some reason people are still like, well, that's why I hate the corporate media.
They let him get what he said it.
Donald Trump denied it. Like, despite all the evidence to the contrary, they're still peddling this. Well, somehow making it like
we have the creators of Project 2025 saying this is for Donald Trump. He knows about it.
Same. Like, they're not the same.
And when you argue that Donald Trump, if elected, would put forward a national abortion ban,
just read Project 2025.
The former president said that's not true.
He says everything. Come on, are we really taking his word for it? He said that women should be punished. He has been all over the place on this. But I'm too busy watching what he's doing to see what he has said.
Yep. Thank you very much. Because everything to the contrary says that our lives would be hell under Donald Trump. Because Project 2025, it's not like if he would use it. He's going to use it. That's his plan. His name is in it over 300 times. Right. Duh. Hello. Nobody, no other possible presidential candidates were listed there.
Here's the thing. Donald Trump, let's, for sake of argument for funsies, he has no idea what Project 2025 is. Okay, but almost every single person in your inner circle and your campaign staff, almost every one of them is a loud and proud Project 2025 participant. So even if you don't know it, the people building your administration are putting that into your administration. Maybe worry about that. So I don't care if you never heard about it, but look into it.
Right. He also never heard about the comedian that opened for him, and
Yes.
that's their whole thing. Like as soon as they get
I don't
JD
know.
Vance does the same thing. Yeah, though, I never heard of that. I never heard of that.
But yet
Every
again,
time they're
he's surrounding
good.
himself by shitty people because his election campaign agreed, they vetted the comedian. So his election staff knew him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they know what's going on. Like if you're a week out from election day or a couple days out from election day and you have no idea what's going on within your own campaign, yeah, you're not gonna be. That's not a good look. It's just not a good look for somebody that's supposed to be efficiently running our country. But we do have, so like Donald Trump has put out these insane proposals. Like he'll throw out any because I know Kamala Harris has some actual policy proposals that
Actual
would benefit
policy.
Americans. Where Donald Trump is no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, and then no
They said no
federal
sales tax.
taxes, and then
Okay,
no
guys.
sales tax. It's like he just keeps throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks against the wall.
And the beauty
even
is his
though
people
we know
don't know it.
because
They don't
we
understand
know
it.
about Project 2025, the reason there would be no tax, there would be tariffs.
Yeah.
That would be way more than the amount of tax that you pay. And they would eliminate overtime pay. So all that fat time and a half and double time that you get, that you're saving all this, you're not going to get that double time anymore. So the little bit of tax they take out of it would be,
You can't tax what they get rid of.
Right. It's going to cost you money.
That's the thing. That's what they're saying. We won't
Including
tax these things.
on top of Elon Musk admitting that we're going to have to go through temporary hardships,
whatever that
just
is,
for them to enact their bloody deportation program.
If we're going to move towards the
This is
economy,
crazy.
let's look at some numbers, because Donald Trump talks about fixing the economy by getting rid of basically all taxes and imposing tariffs, which will destroy every household in this country. He has yet to put forward a plan to help anyone. Also, something everyone forgets, all the hardships that we're seeing now through taxation and whatnot, those are the Trump taxes that he put into plan. And it's funny how he doesn't talk about that. It's almost like he screwed us over by taxes so that when he could run again, he could go, look how bad the taxes are. Think about that. But
we do have some examples. Thank God.
Let's go of what Kamala Harris has actually laid out.
It's nice to have actual examples and not just Donald Trump spewing shit out of
his mouth. We'll get it in 2 weeks. We'll have that plan in 2 weeks. We have a concept of a plan.
Yeah, he did it
all
again.
That bullshit.
Well, they asked him about him and Kennedy. Like, what are you and Kennedy going to? Well, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, one more thing about Kennedy. Donald Trump is not going to be governing because he's barely functional and he likes to golf. He spent 1 year golfing when he was president for 4 years. So you know who's going to run the country? Elon Musk and JD Vance and RFK Jr. Think about that. But let's go into some examples of Kamala Harris, who actually has a team of people, listens to experts, and is promising to help the economy. An opportunity economy is what she's been talking about, something that is in stark contrast to a capitalist trickle-down economy. Capitalism does not provide economic opportunities. It allows billionaires to hoard everything and parse it out to the slaves that are working in the businesses that the rich people own, okay? The Harris-Walz plan for small businesses alone and entrepreneurs enable a record 25 million small businesses applications in the next 4 years. They are hunting for small businesses because that is how you actually grow economy from the bottom up. You have lots of businesses instead of everything running by one business. Expand the startup expense deduction from $5,000 to $50,000. That will include processing fees and all of that. Provide resources for small businesses to grow across America. Help them get their business stabilized. Cut unnecessary red tape that makes it harder for small businesses to operate and expand. So if more people can start more businesses, which will also technically maybe employ more people, and then more people are paying into taxes, into Social Security and other things, the tax burden goes down, more people are paying into it, everyone benefits from it, more businesses result out of it. What else? Our plan will cut red tape for small businesses. So what does that mean? They will make it easier to file taxes with a standard deduction for the smallest businesses, which means the small businesses will benefit as much as the billionaire corporations, which I don't know, seems fair in capitalism, right? Work with states to improve the licensing, zoning, and other processes for entrepreneurs. Get your businesses more opportunity to open them in more places to make sure you are growing. Modernize outdated regulations and make it simpler for small businesses to apply for federal funding. Right now, you're a small business, you're screwed. You're a billionaire, sure, take all the tax breaks you want. That doesn't help small businesses. The Harris-Walz plan will help entrepreneurs get their ideas off the ground with a 10-time expansion. Again, pointing out, going from $5,000, which barely covers processing fees, to $50,000, which will help people like us, for example. We might get to actually start an LLC, make the Voice of Reason a business, get better, and maybe even hire someone to help do the nitty gritty while we focus
That
on
would be
content.
so nice.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
but $50,000 is something that will help everyone create businesses. Okay, that's
A lot of
going
money.
to help everyone. Since we're a company, since we're a business country that only respects businesses, and that's true. If more people have businesses, by necessity, more people will be respected by our economy. Last, we have 1/3 of federal contract dollars will go to small businesses. Think
That's a
about
lot.
that. So they're
that's
saying
huge.
right now, if there's $1 billion, I'm making up the number, a very low number. If $1 billion is there to portion out, most of that money right now goes to billionaires and corporations. Now, 2/3 of it still will, because to be fair, they literally own everything and employ most of us. They have to get that money. But to say that 1/3 of whatever, if it's $1 billion or $10 billion, 1/3 of that money will go to help small businesses. That's how you grow an economy. And
Exactly.
we'll talk later when we talk about her accomplishments. That's all I have for the economy right now. But that is a plan. Donald Trump doesn't have a plan. He has promises coming in 2 weeks. 4 years ago, he doesn't have a plan.
Right, he still has concepts of a plan.
Oh,
He's
God.
still in he's had 4 years to run the country and is still in the concept phase of
Oh,
his administration.
thank you so
Oh,
much.
wow. Thank you so much, Jeanette.
Thank
That's
you
awesome.
so much. Wow.
That's great. Yeah, I'm just threw me off there for a second. We're not
Yeah.
used to that. We're not used to that. I apologize. So thank you so much for your support. Yeah,
Yep.
we wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for you guys' support. It's been a wild year, and we're hoping to be able to continue
It's
this.
true.
Obviously, we do have to come to the realization that if Donald Trump wins, things are going to be different. We won't be on the air.
Well, we'll try.
I'm pretty sure Google won't even exist because
Yeah,
Donald
oh,
Trump
yeah.
thinks Google is against him.
It'll be called Trumple.
And we've gone over plenty of times that this dipshit does not need proof in order to prosecute somebody or want them in front of a war tribunal, which was, wow. Yeah. You mentioned that earlier, the whole Liz Cheney comment. That threw me for a loop.
Yep.
And then now they're in cleanup mode. But yeah, anyway, let me play the last Kamala Harris video I have. She actually gets heckled at her rallies, and every time she responds perfectly. The one time she responded, she's like, "I'm sorry, I think you're at the wrong rally. You're looking for the smaller one down the street." That was perfect. Yeah, but this one's great because her whole message, I think, is she wants to be a president for all Americans. That's what she keeps saying over and over again. Where Donald Trump wants to be, he wants the people to serve him, or she wants to serve the people. Donald Trump thinks of us like Mike and I are the enemy from within. Anybody that disagrees with him, if you don't agree with him 100%, like all the crazy dumb shit that he makes up off the top of his head, if you don't immediately agree with it without question, you are the enemy from within as well. And he has said some outlandish stuff. So there's no possible way. I don't know how anybody agrees with him at all, yet alone millions of people. But we'll see. We'll see on Tuesday. But let me play
250 million. 250 million
according to him. Yeah. Okay. Keep dreaming, buddy. But this is how she responds to hecklers, and I think it's fantastic.
You know, see, this is the thing, because we know we're actually fighting for a democracy. And unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy.
Oh, interesting.
He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. And I pledge to be a president for all Americans and to always put country above party and self.
Love that. So, all right, let's go over what she's accomplished while vice president, and then we'll go ahead and get on out of here and
this
pray
is
for the
just
best
this
for
isn't even
Tuesday.
a full list.
I don't even think about Tuesday, dude. It's like I can't believe
No,
it's 2 days
Tuesday,
away.
right before we end today's show, we're going to talk about Tuesday. We have a little idea, and it's not going to work, but we'll see. So let's go over Kamala's accomplishments as vice president. Now, before I put this on, because I'm going to ramble for about 2 seconds, it is important to understand the vice president basically does nothing. No vice president in history has ever had any actual responsibilities. Okay, it is a not ceremonial role, but is a role which people need to understand is not a policy affecting role. They can garner support. They can speak as a surrogate for the president, for the party. They can do all of these things to help facilitate communication. How about that? A vice president, in my mind, their job should be to facilitate communication where the president is busy doing other things. The vice president can actually help. Okay, they're the president of Congress after all. So if anything, their job should be to get them to work together. So it is important to understand that while Kamala Harris will not fix everything, cannot fix everything, she is not responsible for everything that Donald Trump and the Republicans are blaming on her. If they have legitimate claims, blame Biden, fine. But they're imposing their arguments against Biden on Kamala because they had no pivot when Biden dropped out. To this day, they have no idea how to attack Kamala Harris other than with racism, misogyny, and stupidity. So, but that said, Kamala has accomplished things. Let's talk about them. She cast the most tie-breaking votes, Senate votes, by a vice president in history to lower healthcare costs and invest in climate action. Why? Because Republicans refuse to do those things. She voted to confirm more women and people of color to make the judiciary look more like America. Why? Because the Republicans would never do that. Presided over the vote to confirm Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. That is amazing. Strengthen global alliances by meeting with more than 150 world leaders. That is important because we are still part of a global community. Launched a national tour to advocate for reproductive rights. Why? Because the Republicans want to take them away. Brought back maternal mortality to the forefront of medical conversations because it's not just about what people think are babies. It's about women having the right not to die because Republicans are assholes. She chairs the National Space Council to advise the president on space policy, which is important when you have Elon Musk trying to literally take over space.
Space Force.
Secured funding with President Biden to replace all lead pipes and upgrade America's water infrastructure. Why? Because Republicans refuse to do it. She's the first sitting vice president to visit a Planned Parenthood, which the right would not say is an accomplishment. But you know what I would say? Showing that the vice president actually respects women and families. Yeah, that's pretty important. There is more she did. We've talked at length about how much good she did trying to secure help to pass that border bill that the Republicans, nay, Donald Trump said to destroy. She got companies, border companies in border states to produce more technology and more training to get more security agents out there safely to catch more illegal immigrants. Vice President Harris did that. So when they like to say she's the border czar, that doesn't mean she has power. It means she was in charge of getting those conversations going. And what did she do? She did it. And the Republicans destroyed it. So Kamala Harris has done quite a lot as president to facilitate goodwill and communication, where the Republican Party and Donald Trump has done everything in their power to destroy communication between parties and between Americans. Kamala Harris has been a vice president for all Americans, and she will be a president for all Americans, not like Donald Trump.
Freaking-lutely. No, Donald Trump will be an absolute nightmare. Indescribable nightmare that Mike and I know what's coming. If Donald Trump gets elected, we know exactly what's coming. Because we haven't exaggerated one bit on this show in regards to any of their plans, any of the stuff they've said. We might
get
joke
excited,
about
but we
some
show
of the
the
dumb
facts.
stuff. But we show the facts. At least we show as much video evidence as we possibly can gather. So yeah, that's it, man. So Tuesday, I'm hoping for a big old blue wave.
Tuesday is going to be interesting because I
think that if they lose Congress and Senate, and
that's going to be trouble.
And Kamala wins. Oh my God, the amount of stuff that's going to happen, positive stuff that's going to happen is going to be.
If the Republicans lose and we get control of everything, gotcha.
Yeah, if we win all three, yeah, we're good.
We'll actually see some actionable change. But I think it's important to stay focused. Don't look at polls. If you went out and voted already, awesome. If you're going to go vote Tuesday, awesome. Don't be intimidated. Know your rights. If they say you can't vote, there's something wrong with your vote, ask for a provisional paper ballot as demanded or required by law. A quick story. My wife and I voted on Friday after work, and you're not allowed to wear any sort of party or candidate stuff, so you don't always know who people are voting for. But while I was still filling out the circles, my wife was listening to someone who was putting their ballot in the election machine, the counting machine, and it rejected it. And immediately this person was like, "What's wrong with the machine? What's wrong with this election machine? I don't understand." So they were like, "Well, put your ballot in again. It just didn't read it. When you see the number go up one, you know that your ballot was counted." She puts it in. It didn't work. And they're like, "Well, did the number go up?" "Yes, it worked." Okay. So right after that person, I put mine in and it spit it out. It said ballot not counted. The election official was like, "Just turn it over. It happens, whatever." Went in, says ballot counted. The number went up. I thanked them. I had my I vote sticker and I walked out. Jesus Christ. What's wrong with the machine? Okay, chill out.
Yeah. So either way,
Tuesday. Oh, I was going to say Tuesday, we're going to have what we're calling a emotional election support group. At 7 p.m., we're going to get on the air. And if anyone wants to follow the election, we're going to pop up on and off news sources to let us know what's going on. We're not going to know the results that night. We're going to know a lot of results, but we're not going to know. It'll probably be a day or two, maybe even
I'm hoping
Friday,
it's obvious.
I'm hoping it's obvious, but at the very least, we're going to need people like us who are going to want to watch it live, but are going to blow their brains out with, frustration. So anyone who wants to watch it live and hang out and chat, we're going to have some guests coming on and off throughout the broadcast. Hang out with us
Probably
Tuesday
do
night.
a lot of yelling, depending on how it's going.
I'm very likely going to have a growing glass of whiskey as I pour more and more throughout the night. So
yeah, lots of swearing. Yeah. Language warning. All right, that's it for today's show. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. We obviously know what we're voting for. Yeah, I don't know how anybody. It blows me away that people vote for this shit. But anyway,
you have something cool to say. Wait a minute. You are going to be going with your kids for their first presidential election.
Yep. Me, my mom, and the kids are going to go all together as a family, and
that's awesome.
Go vote.
That's
together.
how I always went as a kid. The whole family went and voted.
Yeah, because they know I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't political up until a few years ago. So yeah, it's kind of cool all of us going together. So not my first presidential election, but the first one I really gave a shit about. You know what I mean?
You saw the
passionately. Right. Enough that I learned all this stuff over the last 3 years that's filling my head with it just makes my head hurt. Anyway, that's it. If you guys had fun, please give us a thumbs up, give us a like and a subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday. Have a good rest of your day. And like always, we'll talk to you soon.
Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms to the will of another petty tyrant. So America, in 7 days, we have the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told.